Hey, folks. Morning. It's a pretty morning, actually, today. Um, I want to explain a couple things to some people because there's been a bunch of people telling me, well, Joe, you hate cops. We can't. Hey, Ken, what's happening, brother? The saying, Joe, well, you hate cops. I mean, and that's not that I hate police. I hate the system they operate in. The entire justice system is garbage at the moment, okay? It's set up to punish people that can't afford to fight back. I mean, end of story. I mean, if you got 20, 30, $40,000 for a lawyer, you can pretty much get away with anything you want. Um, but the real issue comes back down to what I talked a little bit about yesterday. I mean, I know it pisses a lot of people off when I say it. Cops are low skilled labor. I mean, it's honestly that they don't have training. They make crap wages, and crap wages means that it's corruption. Because take a few years ago, the mayor in New Orleans, when he came in, he went through and investigated the whole department, and he found 90% of the cops were corrupt in some form or fashion. They were running hookers and everything else, and drug deals and everything. Why? Because they didn't make any money. So what I would say is, instead of defunding the police, let's train the police more, and then they can demand a higher pay. But then it's a win-win because they're more trained, and they can demand higher wages. I mean, isn't that what we all do? I mean, you take a, I mean, I'm a construction guy, so I like to do things. Hey, TJ, the a crane operator. Okay, just your basic crane and boom operator. He can make 23, 24, $30 an hour. But hey, if he gets a little more training and he gets on the bigger friction cranes, or the real big hydraulic cranes, now he can demand 40, 50 an hour. Same thing with an electrician. Electrician that's not certified can go find a job for 20, $25 an hour. But once he gets that state cert, guess what? He's getting 40 bucks an hour. Same thing with cops, right? So you've got cops can come in and say, okay, your entry level is X, but you know what? The more training you go through, the more money I can give you, and more responsibility. I would just say, hey, your basic cop can only do traffic stuff, and if you don't have 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours of training, you can't go on a domestic call. You can't go out and do things like that. Hey, Miss Elliott. So instead of, hold on, I'm gonna add Ken. Hey, John.
Hey,
What up, Ken Kirk? It's a good friend of mine, Kirk. Ken Kurt here, for people that don't know him. Good people.
yeah. Hey, your message about the police, man, you're spot on. You were spot on. You take a regular welder, you said it on the construction side, they're making $25, $30 an hour, but then you give them that, say they're working in a nuclear power plant. Now the rate is 90 an hour because of the knowledge and the skill level. So
Exactly, and
police,
that's what I'm trying to get.
go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get. I mean, it's not about defunding the police. It's better training for the police, so then we don't have so many screw ups by untrained police, because people make mistakes. But if you make a mistake in construction or if you make a mistake fixing a car, okay, that can be fixed. But when an untrained cop goes out there and makes a bad decision to kill somebody or arrest somebody that didn't really need to be arrested, you're screwing with people's lives. I just want better training for the cops, and because then I want them to look at it and say, hey, I'm well paid for what I do. I appreciate it. Now it's a little more. It's a win-win for everybody.
The Marine Corps went through this very issue, Joe, when I was in, and I worked with a guy out of the Marine Corps Warfighting Lab, and we developed a program to train squad leaders. So you had, just an example, a company commander would have 2 sergeants show up at his unit to check in, to start working at that unit. One had been a squad leader in 1st Battalion 9th Marines for the last 3 years and had done 2 combat tours. The other sergeant came from security forces where he was at Kings Bay, Georgia, guarding nukes. So which one of them was a squad leader? They're both sergeants. They're both data ranked the same and all that. So that became a dilemma. How we fixed it is developed a program to where they had to meet certain criteria to be that professional squad leader. And you could do the same thing in law enforcement. You talked about it. There could be certain calls they couldn't go on because their step, their step program.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, so these are conversations. It's a shame that we can have these conversations, but we can't get the politicians to sit down and say, hey, let's and all hard lines in the sand. If you're on this side, you're wrong. If you're on this side, you're wrong. So
Yep.
These are the things I'm just trying to get out. We're trying to get out to the public, and you and I talk often about this stuff. I mean, it's not about what side of the fence you sit on as far as politically. It's about what's best for. That's what we all got to start talking about.
Oh yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. But yeah, you and I have these conversations. Yeah, I was just saying, you and I have these conversations all the time. And you don't always agree with my philosophy, and I don't always agree with yours. But if 2 heads are always better than one. If people would sit down and talk, we could solve 90% of the issues at the federal level. Our 3 systems of government here is so corrupt and so destroyed and so divided that it'll never work. It'll never come together. They
want us to fight with each other, because as long as we're fighting with each other, they're still strengthening their power. If we all get together and put our heads together, then we've actually become dangerous to their cabal and their control and authority over us. And that's what it's a government by the people. They govern with our consent, and we need to stop giving them consent to do what they do.
Yeah, we need to pull the consent back. We're done with that, because people think all this. People think all this started with Obama. This didn't start with Obama. It's been going on for years. You don't do this overnight.
No, the last president to actually shrink the size of government was Calvin Coolidge. Every other president since has grown government. And most presidents before him, he was the last one to ever shrink government. And, people don't even, half the kids I talk to don't know about Calvin Coolidge. Why? Because Calvin Coolidge didn't really do anything. He admittedly said, I just kept the lights on because that's what the president's supposed to do. We need another Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah. We got to stop, this. Now, I served in the military. I got 21 years and retired in '07. But we got to stop funding this nonsense around the world and, giving this military industrial complex, which is running the deficit up, money. I Googled one time the debt of the United States throughout the years. And I need to do it again because I don't remember, but this country didn't have any debt for a long, long time. We paid it off. But when we got away from the gold standard and started printing money.
Well, you got, in 1972 up to 72, we were still 30% backed by gold, but then Nixon finished that for us. He put the nail in the coffin there. And then it's like you said, military industrial complex. I mean, we've constantly been in a state of war for 100 years. I mean, of some form or fashion. Carter was probably one of the last ones that really didn't get us involved in anything.
Right.
So it's, people need to research, because it's not what Fox News or CNN or MSNBC says, because all of those groups have a little bit of truth based in their spin of it. But you have to read the rest of it. You have to go research the rest of it yourself, right, to find the real truth.
Right.
But
well, when are we going to get together?
We can talk about it for days.
When are you and I going to get together?
Leaves are changing, and I think it'll be some pretty scenery at the same time up there. Plus, I'm still finishing up this little gig in Ohio, and then I'm coming back home. So, yeah, we need to get up there. We need to do a video together and sit down and talk about a bunch of stuff. And Patrick Henry's place is the perfect place to do it.
Yep. I'm with you, brother. You be safe out there, man. Watch your six.
You too, man. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And I'm going to put this on YouTube, too, Ken, and you can share it as well.
Yep, sounds good, brother. And if if your wife needs anything, I'm a phone call away.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Talk to you later.